I honestly never thought that I'd be making a video like this.
I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free.
Hey guys, it's Eden, and I honestly never thought that I'd be making a video like this. I have always had very good luck when it comes to my health, and I'm hesitant to say luck because I work very hard to make sure that I stay healthy. And up until this point, I've always had medical practitioners who were very aligned with me on this. And this situation's just very unsettling and a little bit shocking. So I'm going to be referencing an audiobook that I listened to a few times throughout this video, and it's called The Obesity Code by Dr. Jason Fung. A lot of you guys may have heard of it. If you haven't and you want to know more about obesity from the standpoint of a doctor that focuses on weight loss and a doctor that feels like other doctors have failed fat people, and a doctor that goes through every scientific study on weight loss and explains why they fail repeatedly, I think that this is a good listen. And I point people in this direction a lot because with the rise of the anti-body positivity movement, it's very focused on give me the science, give me the facts. Well, here is the science, here are the facts. And it's kind of funny because when you say that, then they're like, well, doctors don't know everything. Go to dietitians or nutritionists. It's always like whatever furthers your narrative. And that's fine, I guess. If you are interested in the Obesity Code, Audible is the best place to listen. They have an unmatched amount of titles, and y'all, oh, my texting is showing. Audible has just gotten better and better. They have exclusive audio fitness content available, audiobooks, Audible originals. The content is just getting better and more customizable. No matter what you're into, Audible has the genre for you. I love religion and spirituality. I also like health and fitness. To all of the anti-body positivity people, I would suggest personal growth for you. Audible has you locked down. Head over to audible.com/Eden to get your first month free, plus a free audiobook, plus 2 Audible originals. Amazing. Or you can text Eden to 500 500. Audible has become a huge part of my life. If you're a podcast listener, Audible's like the next progression for you. You will not be disappointed. Just check it out for a month. Get your free audiobook. Like I said, anything that you've been wanting to listen to is going to be available on Audible, and you'll get the 2 Audible originals. If you start a title and you're like, not really into this, they'll let you swap it out. Members get some serious perks, y'all. I got a bundle of audiobooks last month for a seriously discounted price, and of course, books are always discounted for members, and if you choose not to continue with your Audible membership, you own all of your audiobooks for life, for your listening pleasure. So head over to audible.com/Eden or text Eden to 500 to get your first 30 days free with 1 free audiobook, 2 Audible originals. You won't regret it. And back to the video. So a while back, I ended up going to the doctor. You guys probably know when better than I do because I'm always vlogging these types of things, and my doctor wasn't available, so I ended up seeing one of her associates that works in the same building as her. As many of you all know, I used to be a medical assistant many moons ago, so I have worked in hospitals galore, clinics galore, and I know that not all doctors are created equally. And it's very common amongst anti-body positive people to say, oh, just listen to the doctors. They went to school for so long and you need to respect them, and so on and so forth. Unless a doctor agrees with the fat person, then they're like, that doctor doesn't know shit, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's always just like feed your own narrative type thing. But you know, just from sitting in the break room, you hear some people like, this doctor's a nightmare. You do not want to work under this doctor. I always kind of had the pleasure of working for pretty pleasant doctors, and as a patient, I've always had the pleasure of having very supportive medical practitioners. But something we need to remember, our doctors are human. So no matter how many oaths they take, if a doctor's racist, they're not just gonna drop that when they walk into their practice. And you know, a lot of people don't like when you compare weight to race, and I understand that, but I'm a Black woman, so that's something that I'm always gonna think of. If a doctor's racist at home, they're not just gonna stop being racist when I walk into their office. They're not gonna just not assume that I'm not on Medicaid. They're not gonna just not assume or not use their prejudices because they are all of a sudden in their office. It's not the same, but it's similar when it comes to bigger bodies. If someone is raised in a household where maybe they were young and they were forced to go on diets and told that they weren't going to be as worthy if they weren't thin or whatever it is, they carry that into their adulthood, and you don't just drop those things when you walk into the doctor's office and put on your coat or your scrubs for the day. So it's a kind of a big misconception, and it's kind of idiotic to think that doctors operate on a different moral compass, because they're human, and humans have prejudice, and humans have bias, and humans make mistakes, and as humans, diet culture is very ingrained in us. And that's what I love so much about the obesity code, is that they go into every single study and explain how medicine has failed obese patients in so many ways. So basically, I hurt my ankle quite a while ago. It's fine now. I'm all better. But at one point, it was not better. It was getting progressively worse, which admittedly my fault, because I wouldn't stay off of it. So I ended up going in to get a set of x-rays because I thought that it was broken, like for sure thought that it was broken, because I have a pretty darn high pain tolerance. Like, I went to get laser tattoo removal, and I was like, at the end, I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And he's like, you're the first person to ever say that. So I have a pretty high pain tolerance, and I was in a lot of pain, so I ended up going into my doctor's office, and I was treated by another doctor that day. It was a really weird day. Like, it was like 2 o'clock. I hadn't eaten, but I'd had like a lot of coffee. It was raining, and I thought that I had parked in front of the building, but I didn't. So I kind of had to like jog around the building, like shielding myself and going in, and I basically filled out my paperwork really quick. I had been to this doctor before, so there wasn't a ton of things that I needed to fill out, just a couple of forms that needed to be updated because I had just moved back to Texas not too long before. And then I went back, they took my weight, which I have no problem with doctors taking my weight. I don't care knowing what my weight is. I know a lot of body positive people do care about that, but I don't. They took me into the room. She sat me on the table. She started taking my blood pressure. She used a standard size cuff. And she was kind of talking to me the whole time, which was fine. I was just answering her questions about how I hurt my ankle, where it was hurting, what side it was hurting, what type of pain it was, and just sitting on the table. My feet were dangling, you know. So my blood pressure came back a bit higher than it usually does, like a lot higher than it usually does. It was like 140 something over, can't remember. But I was like shocked, and I was like, that doesn't really seem right. But we didn't really talk much about it. She didn't say anything about it. The doctor or the medical assistant that was in there didn't seem concerned about it. So I went on, I did my x-rays, they came back, they said no, it's not broken, but there is a lot of soft tissue swelling, so we may need you to do an anti-inflammatory. I said okay. She releases me and I say, hey, so this is what my doctor had prescribed the previous time that I went to have my ankle checked on, because I had done this previously. And she goes, oh, well, you can just take like a leave or something. And I was like, well, would a prescription version work better? And she said, yeah, but I can't prescribe you it because your blood pressure is too high. And I was like, okay, but I don't have high blood pressure. And she goes, well, it's like hypertensive high. I can't prescribe you any medication. So knowing that I am a former medical assistant, they don't know that. And this is why I get kind of riled up about these things. Like, if this happened to someone who wasn't a former medical assistant, they wouldn't know what to do. They just assume that they had high blood pressure. They'd be denied medication that they need in order to heal, and then remain in pain and not get active and not stay healthy. And it snowballs really quickly, and it may seem like presumptuous and dramatic maybe, but it's not. That's how it happens. Like, people become inactive, they start to gain more weight, and then they feel like hopeless, like they can't get healthy and they can't be active, when you can and it's possible. I'm healthy and active at my size, and I can see how this could snowball someone. Like, telling them that they have high blood pressure, even walking into a yoga class, like, there's a warning on the waiver that if you have high blood pressure that you shouldn't practice, or you should talk to a doctor before practicing. So I was like, but I don't have high blood pressure, just like that, because I'm a sassy biatch, you know. And sometimes, especially as a black woman, like, I feel like I have to stand up for myself a lot of the time, because people try to shut me down so often, and it's not gonna fucking happen. So I said, will you retake it? And she said, sure. And she had her medical assistant bring me back into the room. Simple rules of taking blood pressure. They teach you this when you become a medical assistant. There's probably more things, but I can't remember. One, your feet should be supported. They should not be hanging off at the table. I was sitting on the table, my feet are dangling. There should always be a chair under your feet, or you should be in a position where your feet are flat on the ground and your back is supported. Two things that were not happening. You shouldn't be talking. My medical assistant was talking to me the entire time I was getting my blood pressure taken. The next thing, use the proper size cuff. They used a small cuff on me. What's small about that? Nothing. So I needed a larger cuff, but the other machine that had the two cuffs was in use, so they used a smaller cuff on me, and they're like, oh, no big deal, you know. But it is a big deal. You need the proper size so that you can get a proper reading. And this isn't like a body positive, size inclusive thing. Like, every blood pressure machine that you order typically comes with a large cuff and a small cuff. It's not like you're asking for something extra. It's something that's usually there. So there's that. In my practice, we always took blood pressure at the end of the appointment. One, because people get anxious coming in and out of a doctor's office. A lot of people's blood pressure raises because they're nervous. They're coming in for something sometimes that they're embarrassed about, that they're nervous about. It just raises your blood pressure. It really can. So we always took ours at the end of the appointment. Here's a trick. The reason that people, or insider tip, the reason that people take your blood pressure at the beginning of your appointment versus the end of your appointment is because they don't want to forget. It has to be on the chart, so they take it first, because a lot of the time, if they were to do the rest of your vitals, your doctor does your exam, they'd have to have someone come back in, and it's really easy to forget to go back for that one little piece. So that's the reason that they take your blood pressure first, when it should really be taken when you're at a rested heart rate. Like I said, I had just ran around the building. I wasn't like huffing and puffing because I am a fit person, but my heart rate was probably a little bit above resting because one, I hadn't eaten that day, I'd had a lot of caffeine that day, and I'd ran around the building, and I went straight from the lobby basically straight back. I hadn't had any time to sit down or anything. So these are all things that I know as a former, I guess it's not even a former medical professional because I still re-register every year as a medical assistant just as a fallback. These are all things that I know can affect your blood pressure. So I sit back down, she redoes my vitals, and they're significantly lower, like significantly lower. Still a little bit over what my blood pressure typically is. I was in the 130s and I'm always in 120s. And I said, can I just go calm down for a second? So I went out to the lobby, did my yogi breath, some ins, some outs, chilled out. Like, I was riled up, and being riled up knowing that someone's telling me I have high blood pressure and that I can't have the medication that I need in order to heal, that pissed me off. So of course, you know, that's another factor there. So I went, I sat, I came back, they took my blood pressure the third time. Yes, a lot, but you know what? My insurance covers this, and I don't care what anyone says. Your doctor works for you. Your doctor works for you. You get to choose your doctor. That's what insurance is for. You pick your medical professionals, and I'm so glad that I don't ever have to see this doctor again, that my doctor will be there. But anyhow, I went back, I got my blood pressure taken one more time. It came back normal. It was like 122 over something, which is a perfectly normal pressure. I'll put it here on the screen. You can see all of my past blood pressures have always been pretty normal. Anytime they're over 120, like if they're the 122, 123, which is still, again, perfectly fine, perfectly normal. It was when I was getting a biopsy. So that shows that anxiety does raise my blood pressure just a teensy little bit, but nothing big. So I was told that I had high blood pressure, and I don't. I don't, and I knew I didn't because my lifestyle doesn't support that. And I just get so annoyed with people saying that high blood pressure and heart disease and cancer and all of these things are like fat diseases, and you have higher risk if you're fat. And that may be true, you may have higher risk, but a lot of these things are lifestyle diseases. They're not fat diseases. Are there higher rates because maybe as many plus size people aren't active? It's possible, but saying that you can't get any of these things, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, when you're thin is naive, and it's just not true. It's just silly. Medical conditions don't discriminate. They're not exclusive to the fat club. They're just not. And I don't have high blood pressure. I would be completely shocked if I had high blood pressure because it doesn't make sense. My lifestyle does not support having high blood pressure. It just doesn't. I eat a pretty healthy vegan diet. I mean, I like to have my vegan junk food on the weekends, you know? That's how my channel kind of blew up. I meal prep and do like my normal stuff during the week, and then on the weekend I eat whatever I want. And I show that on YouTube because I want people to know that veganism can be cool and you can eat whatever you have on a non-vegan diet as a vegan. And I kind of leave that exclusively to the weekends because I don't like to feel like shit, and eating that stuff makes me feel like shit. So, but I'll eat it every once in a while, you know? And I teach yoga, and even when I'm not teaching yoga, I go to dance classes, I go to cross training, I do a lot of yoga even outside of my teaching. So I live and lead a healthy lifestyle. So I wouldn't have high blood pressure. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't have high blood pressure. Surprise, surprise. So usually these videos would end with me announcing the fitness challenge. Anything to do with my health or wellness, there's usually a fitness challenge at the end. There's not a fitness challenge right now, and here's why. Even though I have been doing fitness challenges for the last, I don't know, I guess 4 years now. Last year I ended up only doing 2 instead of 4 because I like to do them once a quarter. I did one earlier this year, and I do want to do one at the last quarter of this year, but I'm just trying to find a way to keep it more community driven and engaged. Like what I mean is last time I had a ton of signups, like over 150 people, but the participation was low. And I think that's because the investment is low. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make it more community driven and more, I guess like kind of exclusive, kind of narrowing it down to people that I know that are really ready to get fit and stay fit and make it a lifestyle for them, like I have and like many people in our community have. So that is the lowdown on the fitness challenge, and I'm really glad that I got to make this video. I've made it a couple of times actually, but it just didn't feel right to post it for some reason or another, and I feel like I went more in detail the other times, but I think this is still a long video and it's kind of better as a short story. I went into a doctor. They told me I had high blood pressure. I don't have high blood pressure, and these are the things that they did wrong as medical professionals, and this is how you advocate for yourself. And your doctor's word is not gospel, because doctors are human. They make mistakes, they have prejudice, they can have bias, and if you live in the US, your medical professionals work for you. You can get a second opinion. You can, you get to choose your team. So don't feel like every medical professional is going to be terrible and discriminate against you or whatever it is. You have the right to choose your professionals and advocate for yourself when you need to. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Audible. Head over to audible.com/Eden or text Eden to 500-500 to get your first month free, as well as a free audiobook into Audible originals. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to keep an open mind, keep an open heart, practice unconditional compassion, but don't take shit from anyone, even your medical professionals. I love you guys endlessly, and I hope you love yourselves even more. I'll talk to you really, really soon. Bye. It's Eden Clickbait Jacks at it again.